Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak, and I want to say Shalom to Akmanakwath out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled, Asmondgold says America is white people's land because they fought for it. Alright? Asmondgold says America is white people's land because they fought for it. Which, right off the bat, is dumb as hell. Alright? It's just because you fought for something doesn't mean it's yours. Alright? I could go and, I could go and fight you over your cheeseburger that you bought. Doesn't mean that it's mine. Alright? That's still your cheeseburger. You got it. It's yours. Alright? But I can, punch you in the fucking jaw and take it. Sure. But it doesn't make it not robbery. Right? And that's what we're going to do during this lesson. Part of it, as you can see, I have it in the little, it's like almost like a markdown, but it says define robbery. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to find robbery because, this is a talking point I've heard Edomites use a lot. We own America. We fought for this land. We conquered this land. Just because you fought something and conquered something does not mean it's yours. Okay? If someone came over to your house, punched you in the jaw, kicked you in the nuts, alright, and then took your wife, I'm taking your wife, bitch, alright, that's still adultery. That's not theirs. That's not their property. Okay, that's not their wife. Okay, that's not their situation or place to be in, alright, but they conquered it, right? So what if I came over, tell me this, what if I came over with a pole, alright, and whacked you in the goddamn head, alright, and beat you so goddamn hard you walk around like you got cerebral palsy and shit, and then I say, give me your car keys, bitch. Alright? Now, did I steal your car, or did I colonize your car? Did I conquer your car? Okay? Which one was it? You would say, you stole it. Well, no. Because you say you came over and you won by force, you conquered, you won the land by force. Okay? That isn't theft. That's winning. That's conquering. Okay? Well, if I came over and I whacked you in the head and you're sitting on the ground going, gah, 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 alright, because you can't fucking breathe no more, alright, well, I conquered you, right? So that your vehicle in your house should be mine, right? No, that would be considered theft. So it's more of rules for me, but not for thee, right? Instead of rules for thee, but not for me. It's not theft when I do it, but if you were to do it, it is theft. But it wasn't theft when you came and stole this land away. Right? That's what we're getting. It wasn't theft. And it's a dumb fucking talking point. It's stupid. You hear Edomites talking about it all the time. And just because someone says something like, we conquered the land, it's ours now, that doesn't mean it's factual. Okay? That doesn't mean it's factual. And it's funny because they always bounce back and forth between these two talking points. And it's really a point of being double-minded. Alright? And as the scriptures say, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So it really, that's dealing with Jake, but in the context of that scripture. But Esau is a very double-minded man because they'll try to argue both talking points. They'll say, we didn't steal this land. We bought it. We made trades and deals and different things for that. Same with Mexico. We went over there and we traded, and we bought it from them. Yes, but also no. Right? You basically said, we want to give you this little amount of money for it, and the Mexicans were basically like, no, we're not going to do this. I said, well, here, I don't think you understand, all right, Pablo. Here's how this is going to work, all right, Jose. We're going to give you this amount of money, and you're going to take it, okay? And we're going to take your land. If you don't, we're going to still take your land, but we're going to take it by force of extreme violence. We will kill you. We will rape your women, all right? We will burn shit down. So, does that $1,000 sound good? Yes, senor, it sounds good. Yeah, that's what I thought, Pablo. That's what we thought. Okay, that's how they work. All right, that's still that's threat of extreme violence. Okay, that's you robbing that man. All right, if I go over to someone's house and I say, hey man, that's a real nice car you got up front. I see you're selling it for $4,000. How about $2? And I pull out a fucking blick on him and point it out there. I said, yeah. How about $2? And they agree to $2. I still fucking robbed that guy. All right, because he knew if he didn't accept the $2, he might just die. And that's what Esau does. That's the type of shit they do. So if they don't admit that shit, then they say, we conquered it. And if they don't say we conquered, we bought it, we earned it. Well, you're a liar all the way. All right, this land is not yours. Okay, this land is not yours. It was not yours to have. All right, you came over here. You already had your land. Everybody already set up their lands. Really, Babylon wasn't even a place of habitation, really, to be habitated. All right, there's people here, but, it's not a place really to be dwelled in in the first place, right? And after, the Lord destroys this place, it's not going to be dwelled in, right? I mean, all the lands we already had. Right? There was enough people in Esau, one of their other things they like to say is, there's not enough place on earth for all these human beings. We're overpopulated. No, you're not. Cities are overpopulated. Spread them out, okay? I live in Nevada. I live in Las Vegas, all right? I've driven out, with my wife down to Utah, all right? And you know how much empty fucking space there is? Overpopulated. There's no motherfuckers living out there, all right? Little communities of like 20 people, all right? They got water hookups. They got electricity. All right. You can't say it's inhabitable. All right. Because people are living there. But only like maybe 400 or 500. Right. And why not just build out that more? Okay. Overpopulated my fucking ass. I've lived in some small fucking places. Overpopulated. If we were overpopulated, those small places wouldn't be small places. There would be no small places anywhere. Everywhere would be big. Get on a plane. You'll find out how not fucking overpopulated this place is real quick. There's plenty of place. Esau is just a fucking liar. Everything they do, they lie. Okay? So, they what's the scripture? They're forgers of lies. They're forgers of lies and physicians of no value. All right, as the scriptures say. So, that's what you are, man. That's what you are, and that's just how you are. And when we get to the scriptures, it's painfully clear who you are and how you are. And it also details, how this situation goes about. So let's go to Micah 2 and 1 through 2. And let's show you, this is dealing with Esau right here. So, that's 2 and 10. We wanted 2 and 1 and 2. But right here, Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So they do these things because they have the power and the ability to do it. Okay, that's the primary reason they do it. Why do they do it? Because they can do it. Okay, and they get joy out of doing things that they can do that nobody else can do. Right? It gives them that false sense of superiority. All right, it gives them that God complex that they also crave. Okay, we can do it and you can't. All right, it's in the power of their hand. But they don't realize that everything that they have the capability to do is all through Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, and the Lord's going to strip that power from them. All right, and they're not going to have anything. Like the scripture says, sit on the ground, there is no throne. They're not going to even have a throne. That's all going to be stripped away from them. And they think this kingdom is going to last forever and forever and forever. All right, they're going to be able to torment Jake forever, and they're just going to keep on winning. And the Lord's going to strip that from them, take away their throne, take away their kingdom, and they're going to sit on the ground in the ashes because there ain't shit left for them to do. They don't own nothing. And then they're going to be, and then that cycle, they're going to be assimilated into Jake's societal structure. All right, and the things that they love to do, they're not going to be able to do, all right, in our kingdom. All right, we're going to beat the living shit out of them if they do some of those things, right? They try to do any of these sick, fucking, twisted Edomite things, right? You're going to beat them? Yeah, because they're that wicked, all right? They're going to be trying to do evil shit then, and they're not going to learn. After a while, the heathens will have some capacity of learning. They're still going to go off, but they'll have some capacity of learning the right ways to do things. The law's not going to be written within them, all right? They're not going to have it like us. They're not going to be on the same level as us, but, eventually they'll, submit to the fact that they're going to have to keep our holidays and feast days, really, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's holidays, feast days, all right, and, traditions, and not their own, all right, not their idol worship. Will they go off from time to time? Of course, but they're going to have a capacity to learn to some extent. Esau is never going to have that, all right? Esau is going to buck up. They're not going to like it, and, they're going to be getting their asses whipped for 1,000 years, all right? And so will the heathens. The other heathens are going to get their ass whipped for 1,000 years, but after that 1,000 years, the payment the transaction has been enacted, all right, with the heathens, and they're going to go into their own lands under ours, all right? They're not going to be dwelling in our lands. They're going to be, in their lands, which will be moderated by us, all right? And we're going to rule over the world in authority under Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in a similar capacity, the control that Esau has now, but actually more scale. We're going to control everything, and on top of that, We're going to control everything, and it's going to be ruled in righteousness, okay? So there's not going to be anybody, there's not going to be some foreigner in a distant land that has some, form of power. It's just going to be Jake through Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And, Esau, they're never going to come to terms with accepting that. They're never going to come to terms with, doing our laws, the laws that were given to us, through Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and doing what's, attempting to do what's right. Okay, so the heathens, again, they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be, the Lord's not dealing with them like that, so they're not going to be like that. They'll still go off, but ultimately, they'll be under subjection to a level which they'll be able to handle. Okay, and it'll actually be better for them under our rule than it will be Esau's rule. Okay, because we're not unjust. All right, they're going to be able to eat. All right, they're going to be able to eat. They're going to be able to drink. All right, they're going to be able to have children and multiply. And that's the case. A lot of people, I think they get the wrong, idea when it comes to the heathens. For the 1,000 years, they are going to be beaten and battered and under, high levels of bondage and captivity to pay back the wrongs that they've done. All right, Esau, on the other hand, they cannot pay back that. After 1,000 years, they go away. All right, never to return as a nation, vanished. But a lot of people think, not Esau. They're going to say, these heathens, they're not going to be living in squalor, right? I always say, and it's all speculation because at the end of the day, we don't know. But being in a righteous kingdom, they'll probably be dwelling in houses similar to the ones that we're renting now, or even bigger. They might be in houses that are even more on accord with mini mansions that we see today, all right? And not full-blown mansions, but even if they did have a mansion, you got to realize a mansion compared to a palace is nothing. Right, you got to understand the dissimilarities that we're gonna have, and you got to understand the full scale. And it can be hard to understand it, but we're not just gonna have a little big building. You're using your worldly understanding for these buildings. We are gonna have palaces, okay, palaces, big building, mansions, palaces with multiple women. All right, with probably, vineyards and pools and whatever, however we want to, decorate it, right? Of course, through righteousness, right? More than likely. And we're going to have everything and forever to enjoy it. Okay. So if a heathen has a mini mansion, so what's that? A mini mansion is is nothing. You can go and look those up. I'll look up one right now. Mini mansion. All right. Around 4,000 square feet. All right, a lot to us, but I mean, if you see something like this, right now you'd be like, God damn, I'd love to live in that. But if you're royalty, royalty don't live in houses like this. These are relatively small, right? Think about that. You would love to live in that right now, right? But the thing is, if a heathen had something like this in the kingdom, you'd probably just look at it like, cute. They're trying to have a little palace almost like we have, right? They even put the little thing on the top, right? Look, they're trying to have a little bit of a palace, right? But compared to us, all right, and, a palace, probably bigger than this, right? This is a palace, okay? This is on a whole different level. And these are small, okay? These are small. This is more palace-like. Look at that. A palace is almost like a series of estates. Okay, all on the same property. A palace, huge. Okay, so if they have a little house, that looks, like something that a multi-millionaire or even billionaire would have on this side, that's not going to be anything to look at on our side, right? We're going to look at that and be like, all right, cool. But it's just, So anyway, but we're getting off track with it. But yeah, man, you got to put things into perspective. But Esau's not going to have that. All right, they're never going to be able to change their ways because they're just evil. All right, mind you, the Lord called them the border of wickedness. All right, and also the people against whom He have indignation against forever. Okay, He does not like these people. These people are wicked. They're wicked from the core. All right, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies, as He said. Right. And, of course, you're not going to be speaking as a baby. You can't speak yet. But as soon as they can speak, they do tell lies, right? You've seen those. I've showed you those videos in the past. They'll walk by, a door frame, and they'll, whack their hand. They'll do, they'll whack it like that on the side of the door frame, and they'll look at the baby and be like, oh, and the baby will start crying. This baby can't even speak yet, and he's already lying, right? Trying to gain sympathy, right? Oh, he's just scared. Nah, that's just, most of those babies, and I'm not saying a Jake baby wouldn't do it, all right, but all the babies I saw that were doing it just happened to be leprous. Just saying. This is Micah 2:1. 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds when the morning is light. They practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. They even steal a man's heritage. They even oppress a man and his heritage. All right. And they've done that with us. Okay. And they like to oppress. They are the oppressor. All right. Down. Oppressor man, where you gonna run to? No, that old song. That song's really about Esau, Edom. All right, Jacob, still Jacob, but Benjamin, they're more in tune, they're still bugged out with the whole Rastafarian, right? Jah man, right? That's what they call the Lord, Jah man or Jah. All right, they're still bugged out, but they got it close. All right. They know some things, but they don't know all things, right? But they're close. Out of all the people that are out there in the world, they're pretty close. They're pretty close. They know that, these white people are oppressors. All right, they know about America being Babylon. They know about getting away from Babylonian societies and customs. All right, they know that this world is wicked. All right, they know a lot of those things, but at the same time, they got long hair, dreads, and smoke weed, right? But it's a song by Peter Tosh, and if you haven't looked it up, I'd definitely go and check it out. But you can see it says, down, presser man, where are you going to run to? Down, presser man, where are you going to run to? It says, down, presser man, where are you going to run to all along that day? You're going to run to the sea, but the sea will be boiling. When you run to the sea will be boiling. You're going to run to the rocks. The rocks will be melting. When you run to the rocks, the poor rocks will be melting. And then, it says, you drink your big champagne and laugh. You drink your big champagne and laugh. But it's talking about, Judgment Day, right? And let's see. There was actually, it said, there's like a little... Or was it? Right here it says, I wouldn't like to be a flea under your collar, man. I wouldn't like to be a flea under your collar. And then it says, you can run, but you can't hide. Then it goes on to say, they're going to run to the Lord, begging him to hide you. You're going to run to the Lord, begging them to hide you. Then there it is. As I said, you're going to run to Jah, begging him to hide you. Talking about it. What else? Let's see. They're talking about them going to try to bribe people, and you're not going to be able to bribe. I'm actually curious about this. It says, Down Presser Man seems to be based on an older song called Sinner Man, which in turn seems to derive itself of lyrics from an African-American spiritual called No Hiding Place Down Here. I actually screenshot that. I want to look more into that. Because it's interesting. They say African-American, of course it means, Israelites. But, yeah, man. You see, it says, what is the meaning? It says, directing the moral of the song taken from the book of Exodus. Towards the social inequality and persisted in Jamaica after the independence from Great Britain in 1962. Yeah, some of that, but really it's deeper than that. A lot of Peter Tosh's songs were biblical. He had another one, too. Was he the one that sung Mystery Babylon? Mystery Babylon. Yep. Queendom. Your queendom has fallen to the ground, and here I... Yep. From Ethiopia's calling. You should go and check that one out, too. That's another one. Another one is, there's that one. I Am. Alright. I Am that I Am. Peter Tosh. I am that I am that I am. I am. Right? I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations. I didn't like the part in the next verse that says, neither are you here to live up to mine. That part, I think he's just talking about other people aren't there to live up to his expectation, but he's talking about the Lord. You can see the lyrics here. A couple of song recommendations. Just check out their spiritual songs. But it says, I don't owe you no obligation. No one owe me none, so everything is fine. I said, I am that I am. And then, it has spiritual connotations. But right here, it says, I am the rock of ages, you cannot move me at all. I am the son of lightning, you cannot move me at all. Son of Jacob, cannot move me at all. I am the son of Moses, you cannot move me at all. I'm the son of David, and you cannot move me at all. It's going off at the same time, because, I don't know, but he's not, it's weird how he's not singing it in the context for the Lord, so, but yeah, man, but these people, they ain't got it. Okay, but, the Benjamites, they know a little bit about, the white man. A lot of them like, man, you gotta stop hating your brother so much, man. Just because he's the white man. Yeah, look, they did some stuff in the past, but those is not the same men that did those things to you. You were never in slavery, boy. You never went through Man, shut the fuck up, man, Uncle Coon. All right, Uncle Coon, a mix of Uncle Tom and a Coon. You just Uncle Coon Thomas. That's your full name. So, Micah 2:2, of course, says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. That's Esau. All right, they covet fields and take them by violence. They love lands. They want it so bad. And how do they do it to get them? They take them by violence. Okay, and like it says, in houses, and take them away. So that's what they do. They're just that type of person, man. They just like oppression. Okay, like that's how we ended up getting on this topic. Down press man. Got the stupid ass Edomite in his big ass truck. He's got a small ass dick. All right, that's these motherfuckers over here always making up for something. All right, but always trying to make up for something, man. These fucking Edomites. That's some small dick behavior. All right, always trying to seem bigger and badder than they really are. All right, a small man in a big truck. I'm a big man. Sure you are, buddy. How's your first day of kindergarten? This is Nahum 3:1. It says, woe to the bloody city. Where's the bloody city? Right here. It says, it is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. So the prey departeth not. They don't depart. All right. Our people, all right, like to stay here, all right, and not leave. Okay, even though it's robbing you. Now, remember we said we were going to define robbery. Robbery. So it says robbery, okay, is the crime of stealing something of value from a person through force, threat of force, or intimidation. There you go. It's not just taking something that's not yours. It's threatening someone through force, taking it by force, like going up and saying, this is mine now. All right? Or threat of force, if you don't give me that item, I'm going to come here, I'm going to burn all these fucking villages down, we're going to rape all your women, and it's going to become our land. Or, hey, didn't know if you knew this or not, it'd be great to have this land. We have a couple thousand guys, all with guns. We're going to hang around here, and, what? Is there any way we could get this land from you in any way? Anyway, look at that sure is a big gun there, Jebediah. And that is a big man. I bet you could kill a lot of Indians with that. Anyway, what we're saying is that, we'd like this land. Is there any way perhaps we could come to a deal or an arrangement to have it, right? Or the other one, robbery. The last thing, there would be one more I'd add on, would be deception. All right, because they also got the Native Americans on deception, because they said, we want to buy this land from you. And the Native Americans said, yeah, sure, what? And they offered him some arbitrary amount of money, and they said, sure, yeah, because they were aware of the concept of buying land. They shared land, okay? The land was shared. Nobody owned it, all right? You can't buy what's not yours, okay? So they got Gad on that, right? Gad and Issachar, and being Aztecs, all right? But because they didn't know you could buy land, all right? If you told that concept to someone who has, or if you told that idea to someone who has no concept of buying land, you're deceiving them. And those the colonizers, the pilgrims, whatever you want to call them, the pieces of shit Edomites, they knew that they didn't know that land could be bought. So that's why they tricked them. And they said, oh, well, you signed an agreement. Ha, 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 ha. So I would add deception on this list. So a robbery is a crime of stealing something of value from a person through force, threat of force, intimidation, or deception. There you go. It says this distinguishes it from other forms of theft, such as larceny, because it involves violence or the threat of violence, armed robbery, or bank robbery, where a weapon is used, or a street mugging, where a victim is physically threatened. Okay? So, there you go. You know. So, and also, it's intent to deprive permanently. The offender intends to permanently deprive the owner of their property. That's Esau, Edom. That's what they do. All right? That's just how they are. That's just how they are, man. So, and they think they're going to be able to keep this land forever. All right? This land is my land. This land is your land. This land is whatever the fuck. That's all I know of it. All right? No, it's not your land. Never was. Obadiah 1 and 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt... This is, you know what? I wasn't even going to get this, but... Oh, alright. I'll get it. I didn't even have that up. Obadiah 1 and 3. This is great. I didn't even have this. Okay, Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Did I have that here? Obadiah 1 and 3? There's Obadiah 1 and 3, not 10. But that's great. I'm glad that came up as well. Call all Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's all through the Lord right there. I completely missed that one. Obadiah 1 and 3 says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? This is the scripture we're going to get. You know, the pride has deceived you. You think that, you're just going to be able to get away with this forever. All right? And that's not the case. As we just got in Obadiah 1 and 10, all right, let's go back. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So you're going to be cut off for that. All right. Numbers 35 and 33. This is how, this land's going to be cleansed. All right. Numbers 35 and 33. That's also why Israel's got to be taken out. All right. Is because, the amount of blood of Israel that's been shed in that land. And whose blood's got to be shed? Well, him that shed it. Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood, it defileth the land. When blood is spilled like that in a mass quantity, it defiles the land. All right. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So there's that. All right. Oops. Give me a minute. And I never did play the clip, but here's the clip. You can watch it.
And so that's it. America is not white people's land. That's Europe. Well, it is. It is. It absolutely is white people's land. We fought a war over it. Duh. It got conquered. What? Absolutely it is. It's been our land for hundreds of years. Of course. Obviously. It got conquered, yes.
Just because something's been your land for hundreds of years and you conquered something... Let's go actually define conquer. And then we'll close out. Conquer. Close. Conquer. Remember when we talked about robbery? Remember the definition? Conquer means to...
Conquer.
Means to defeat or overcome an opponent or an obstacle either through force or great effort. Okay? Conquer. Examples and its uses including conquering a physical enemy, defeating an opponent, right? So there you go. Conquering. Okay? Conquering by force. Okay? To gain victory over. So that's what it means. That's what it means. So that's robbery. You've robbed. You've done a robbery. Congratulations. Asmondgold, once again, you're a fucking dumbass. Should have just stuck to playing games. Now you're a political commentator. Alright? Dumb. Why put an unnecessary threat on your head? But you did. I wouldn't want to be a political commentator these fucking days. I mean, I already am, but I'm doing this through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So the difference is if someone took me out, All right, that would be through martyrdom. All right, because they like to kill, the messengers of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. They took you out. They just took you out. That's it. You don't have any glory through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. So it's not like you didn't die for a righteous cause. You just died because. All right. So anyway, that's what that dumbass said. Shorter little lesson. I don't know how long we've been going for, but I am going to close out there. All right. Lord was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Wadash. I want to say shalom to your brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.